everything. All right. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I am, for those who do not know me, a lot of you know me, I am Rochelle Hickok, and I am a licensed massage therapist, and I am the owner of the Massage and Wellness location next door. I specialize in restorative rehabilitation and pain management therapy. Molly, honey, can you turn off the music? Thank you. It's very tranquil, and I don't want to be tranquil right now. So I specialize in restorative rehabilitation and pain management therapy. I get into the details, the nitty-gritty, and I find out what the source is of a lot of issues. And today what we're going to be talking about is something we come across a lot in our practice, which actually is a cause for a lot of issues, for a lot of people, and causes many injuries. And that's posture. Posture actually starts from the base. I know everyone always thinks, oh, it's your back, it's your neck. That's what causes posture issues. But in fact, it generally starts from your feet. So today we're going to talk about some signs of what might be causing some foot issues and poor posture, and what could go ahead and help you in those circumstances, and what good posture actually looks like. So, ta-da! I'm very proud. This is my first PowerPoint ever. So we're going to talk about first the four corners of the feet.
On your right.
The four corners of the feet. And I know in yoga practice, you ladies talk about it a lot. Using the four corners of your feet is very important. And unfortunately, a lot of people do not do that. Now, the four corners of the feet are literally the four corners of your feet. Majority of the time, people step on the outside of their feet. They go out like this, or they're inside like this, which is going to be into the next slide. Now, what you want to look for is those four corners of your feet on the ground and an ankle straight above it. It should be straightly aligned going up. I know, isn't that nice? It's so pretty. So obviously, you want to go straight up. A slight pronation or a slight supination is okay. It's when it's over-exaggerated, when it's too much. And actually, if you notice that you're starting to get supinated or pronated, which means in or out of your ankle, it actually can go ahead and exasperate a situation, and pretty soon you could probably be over. And then you'd be seeing us. So, how do you avoid situations that would cause this to happen? Now, I don't want that slide yet. I don't want any of these slides yet. Okay, so how do you avoid these situations? Now, believe it or not, the majority of the time, these situations are caused by our foot apparel. I know people are like, well, it's genetic, but believe it or not, majority of the time it's not. It's usually your foot apparel. Now, foot apparel is the number one cause for the majority of posture and foot issues. Now, everyone's like, I have great sneakers. They're super expensive. These are Brooks. I own these. They're in the trash. I had to pull them out of the trash. Brooks are a great brand. However, one thing you'll notice with majority of foot apparel is the tiny little toe box. How are you supposed to get your four corners with the tiny little toe box? You can't. Your toes need to breathe. They need to expand. They need to stabilize and support you. So a tiny little toe box is a The other big problem, if you notice, it has a heel. The majority of sneakers, even though you're like, no, it's flat. No, they generally have a grade. And that's what you need to look for, is the grade. The grading is a slight incline in the back of the heel. The majority of sneakers actually have that because people use them for running. And they think that, well, I need that heel raise to go ahead and get going. Unless you're a professional athlete, please don't do that. The next one up, and I'm going to show you some examples of some good shoes and some good proper foot apparel. But I'm trying to be quick because I can talk a lot. And this is a lecture discussion. So if any of you guys have any questions or comments or anything, have at it. Anyway, so the next one is sandals. And these are good. These are a Keen sandal. And so a lot of people are like, oh, these are nice. These are great. Same with Clarks. However, what do you notice again? Tiny little toe box. It's not as bad as any other, but if it's forcing your toes to go in, it's not good. If your toes are being pressed on the outside and they can't breathe, that's not good. Your toes are supposed to be able to breathe, they're supposed to be able to stretch, and they're supposed to be able to balance and support you. I know I sound like a broken record. And again, majority of sandals, again, have that heel. This is a very slight heel increase in grade, but it's still a slight heel. Now, if you're wearing something like this all day long, every day, your toes are eventually going to be taking all of your weight. Those toe grades make it so you're walking on your toes all the time. And so what happens when that happens? Your bursa sac that is underneath your foot, which I'm going to show you in a second, gets pressed down. It gets degraded faster than it needs to. And on top of that, your toes are confined, and you're more than likely going to get a bunion or plantar fasciitis. If you're like this and you're on your heels because of your shoes, and you're not actually using the weight of your heel, which is majority of the weight should be on your heel, you're not actually using the full force of your foot, and you're going to get plantar fasciitis as another possible circumstance, or hammer toe, or any other numerous situations. So we're going to go through some more of these real quick, but I want to show you guys really quickly what a foot looks like. A foot and a calf and an ankle looks like without the skin. So this is without skin and the majority of the fascia that surrounds every muscle group. As you can see, you have your metatarsals that are right on top here. They're supposed to be away from each other. They're not supposed to be confined in a tight little space. They're supposed to be spread out. Same thing with the side view here. You're supposed to go ahead and have that full ankle stretch right there. And you do have ankle muscles. Let's use them. So here is a good view of the inside of the foot and then also the bottom of the foot. So here is what a bursa sac is. Bursa sac is a gel sac substance that is in your joints and in parts of your body that get hit a lot or used a lot. So right here you have them on the bottom of your toes to go ahead and help with that cushion of hitting your toes on the ground. You also have it on your heel as well. You have them in most of your, I think all of your joints. So again, we're going through all the different types of shoes. Now the reason I showed you that is to go ahead and point out how your feet want to be free. They want to be let out. They want to support you. And so wearing stuff like this is not going to help them at all. Again, another example, very common, we've all more than likely worn high heels. High heel, again, you're up in the air, your heel is, you're not actually putting all the weight on your heel, and all the weight is going to your toes. And you're confining your toes in a tiny little itty bitty triangle. Our toes aren't supposed to be shaped like that. And so again, it's a lot of pressure on that bursa sac. You're more than likely going to dissolve your bursa sac faster. And also, you're going to probably get a bunion. And then you have to see me and get tortured for a very long time, or get surgery, and then that's horrible. Yes, Molly?
If you just wear something like that occasionally, it's not a big deal. It's
No.
just not day after day. Right?
No, it's the day after day. However, it's interesting when you start actually letting your toes out, when you start actually having your feet at a level plane. Getting in something like that is agony. It's absolutely torture. So I have actually, hi hon, I have actually tried to find shoes that are more decorative, more nice looking, that are flat. If they're flat, that's not a problem. Then you don't have all that extra pressure in your toes. I actually, for like fancy occasions, I happened to find a pair of women's military dress shoes. And they look fabulous, and I look great in them. And I just wear slacks with them. I don't wear a dress, but it's a great way for me to still look nice, have fancy attire, but be comfortable. And I'm still dancing on that dance floor, and everyone else is like, ah, it hurt. So it works really well in that regard. So unfortunately, there are more brands that are trying to come out with more decorative flat attire. And we've always joked that I have to design as a foot brand because there's none out there. But there are some out there. It's starting to become more of a thing, and I'm very happy to hear that that's becoming more of a thing. Again, you just want to keep in mind the toe box, security around your ankle and your heel, and then trying to keep a flat plane. Again, we've got some work boots, the same exact thing. And these are Keens again. A lot of really name brand shoes, unfortunately, they go with the tiny toe box in the heel. So these, again, are really heavy duty work boots. Men get off pretty easy except for with the heavy duty work boots. Unfortunately, women kind of get the short end of the stick. We're meant to go and squeeze our feet in tiny little boxes. But so what are some good brands? What are some good brands? These are a few that I have personally vouched for, I have looked into. I know that they're actually really good brands. Now for like sneaker apparel, for running shoes, or everyday wear, I really like Altras and Tobos as a brand. They're really great. They have, oh, Joni back there is like, yep, I got mine. So the great thing is they come with a wide toe box. So these are Altras. These are my personal Altras. My husband has Tobos. Topos. Yeah. Anyway, Topo. So as you can see the difference, there's a huge toe box right there. My entire foot can fit in here, and I actually went down half a size than my normal size. So if you compare that to this one, huge difference when you have them side by side. It's not a square, it's a square instead of a V.
How about the heel? Does it have a little heel or is it?
Nope,
flat?
it is completely flat.
Yep.
And that's the nice thing about, so Altras generally, Altras are completely zero grade. They don't have any heel whatsoever. You might notice if you find them online or if you go to Kittery Terrain Pose, they do sell them there. I recommend trying them on first because your foot's going to feel completely different in these. It's a flat grade all the way across. Now some of these shoes have a higher heel, but it's all the way across. They should state on them what the grading is for them. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for the grade. And the grade is what the distance is between the heel and the toe for sole. These are Altras.
What did you say, Ultra?
Altras. A-L-T-R-A-S. Altras. Tobos, though, they actually do design with heel. So that's something you have to keep in mind if you do decide to go with a Tobo. You don't want too high of a grade for your toes, or for your heels. Especially if you are older and you have been working on your feet for a very long time and it hurts to stand on your feet for a long time because more than likely your bursa sac is probably depleted. So you don't want that extra heel to go ahead and push on your toes because that defeats the purpose. Another good brand for sandals. I know everyone's dealt with them. Mine are very well used. Birkenstocks. So far, they're one of the only ones that I've been able to find that actually is a proper shoe. Now, just so you know, Birkenstocks, if you do choose to get them, they actually form to your feet. They are made out of cork, so they form to your feet. They're gonna suck at first. They're gonna hurt a lot at first, but their feet will actually form around them. As you can see, mine are very well formed around mine. But that's something to keep in mind. Now, Zero shoes, that's another one down here. They are a flat grade. They also are a generally wide toe box. However, Zero shoes are made for people who have very slender feet. It is not for people who naturally have wide feet or tend to get inflammation in their feet because you're not getting your feet in there. It's gonna not work at all. So those are just some suggestions I have. If anyone has any like questions about them, I have researched them a lot and I keep an eye on them because I recommend them. Yes, darling.
Yeah. How about Crocs?
So I like Crocs in some regards. I like how they're wide in the toe box. I like how they give you room, but they are made out of rubber. They are made out of a material that unfortunately is not going to allow your feet to breathe. And so you're probably going to have some other issues in terms of fungus and things like that with Crocs.
Even with the little holes, the little air holes?
Yeah, because our feet are actual, we sweat out of them. That's where we release a lot of our toxins, is actually through our feet, and also our energy as well. And so if you're wearing something that cannot actually allow that to be released and it just pulls underneath and it causes some issues, yeah. For just casual, sure. People who go ahead and do like marathons or anything like that, or do anything more extensive, I would not recommend Crocs. Just running to the grocery store, sure. Another thing about Crocs is they do not support you around your heel. The majority of Crocs do not support you. And one thing about, like with my Birkenstocks, my foot ain't going nowhere when I'm wearing this thing. It supports all the way around, and I have a band on top. The other Birkenstocks go across, and so it secures your foot into the shoe. Crocs, you can slide in and out really easy, and they slip off very easily. So again, it can cause maybe some ankle stability issues later on. That would be my only opinion on Crocs.
Even if though they have the strap that you can flip back?
Even with that, I mean, like I said, for running a quick errand, sure. But for everyday apparel, no, I wouldn't recommend it, because you're not getting that full support. So you found the right shoes, but your feet still hurt. They hurt a lot. Yes, Molly. Oh, Pearl.
Pearl, yes, arch supports. Arch supports.
I was going to get to that. Yeah.
The foot internally rotating and the ankle.
Yes.
I need to have the support to support my arch. I have flat feet, believe it or not. But I do.
So my opinion on arches and braces. I actually have a segment on that. I feel that they're overused. I'd rather you try to strengthen your feet to support themselves rather than use an arch or a brace. And the majority of braces also, just as a note, I'll go back to arches, but braces, I will forget. If I don't do it now, I'll forget. So the majority of braces actually will cause further gait and posture issues. So I would recommend actually like KT tape, have someone who uses KT tape, unless of course you recently had reconstructive surgery on your foot or major surgery on your foot, don't wear a brace. Get KT tape to support you while you're healing, and someone who knows how to put it on, which I do. And arch support. Arch support should be used in moderation. There are exercises, that's what I was going to go into next. There are exercises, there are stretches that can help you actually strengthen your ankles, to help strengthen your feet to work properly. The majority of the time, we've been keeping our feet in contained circumstances, which I've been going on about for the last 10 minutes, and they haven't been able to strengthen the way they need to strengthen to support you. And especially if you have various circumstances in your life, I mean, not all feet are created equal. If you have certain circumstances happening in your life, obviously there's going to be different things. You might need an arch support for a while to help you get over something. Or it could be, I'm working on strengthening it, but I need that support until that happens. And did that answer this question for arch support?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I agree on the part when they do give you arch supports, and I think that's why they destroyed my right foot. It was too high.
Yep.
So it pressed all the bones in the bottom of my foot to the top.
Yes, unfortunately, yeah.
And so now I have 6 screws and 2 plates in my foot.
Yes, unfortunately, that is a common circumstance.
Yeah, and
Instead of them actually like finding out why it is happening, they just go ahead and put a brace, they put an arch support, and then they do surgery.
But they don't do any exercises for the foot at all.
I know. Yep,
And
I know.
that's where it should have been, and not on a high arch support, which I told him, I said, I think you're ruining my foot. And he,
Oh yeah,
No,
I've worked on a lot of feet. I hear a lot of the same thing over and over again.
so,
So some tools that can go ahead and help you with your healing, obviously find someone who can help you with this process. But if you have major issues, if you have plantar fasciitis, if you have bunions, if you have a hammer toe, or if you have a major correction you need to have happen, go ahead and see a professional. I am said professional next door. Me and Beth are both professionals. I take the heavy cases. But some things that will help, KT tape. KT tape is really wonderful. There are videos on YouTube to go ahead and tell you how to apply it. However, I recommend if you're not sure, go ahead and seek out someone who knows how to do it. KT tape is a great brace to go ahead and help your body heal and correct itself until it's ready to do it on its own. These I prefer much more than braces any day, or slings or something. Yes.
How do you feel about the barefoot shoe? You know the little barefoot shoes with the single toe, like the toe sock from 30 years ago, but they're shoes now.
You should not do those unless you have very strong feet.
Okay.
Unless you are prepared to use those.
Okay.
And actually, I again don't want to judge, but generally those are for much younger people that are getting used to it. Again, bursa sac issues, not as much, they don't have as much cushion on the bottom. And so it can be quite painful for some people.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. A wonderful tool to go ahead and help your toes get away from each other is toe separators. Now, toe separators are something we actually do have here. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them at any pharmacy nearby. They are great for just spreading out your toes. It's like a little stretch at the end of the night. You're out watching TV or you're reading a book, you have them on for 30 minutes, and you won't believe how different your toes will feel. Just 30 minutes of wearing these, you're like, oh, and you feel the stretch, you feel them stretch. And it's a great way to encourage your toes to stretch away from each other. You don't want us doing it, trust me. And they're fairly cheap as well. They're really fairly cheap. Now, there are some exercises you can do to go ahead and strengthen your, okay, we're on the right slide. So, I'm not used to having slides. So there are exercises you can do to go ahead and strengthen your ankle. I would recommend checking out some sites on YouTube. I can show you some of them. We don't have time to show them today. However, there are some great ones. Use bands. And it's just a mild exercise for your ankle to go ahead and strengthen so it can actually support your body and weight. It's been used to this for a long time. It needs to go ahead and be actually properly stabilized. And you have muscle in your ankle. Let's use it. Another really good exercise when you get to the point, and Molly has you actually do this in class, I know for a fact, is a balancing exercise. When you actually have the strength and the availability to do this on yourself, is to balance on something. You can start with yourself, obvious tree pose. Molly teaches it here. All of the lovely ladies teach it here. Tree pose, all these balancing exercises are fabulous for helping you to go ahead and stabilize and strengthen your stabilizers, including your ankle and your foot. And you'll realize as you're actually stretching and increasing your strength in these parts of your body, it's going to get a lot easier. It's going to get so much easier. Now, the more advanced version is actually standing on, I can do this, maybe.
You need a wall.
And that's my bad ankle. So this is another way, it's a more advanced version, and it's a great way to go ahead and strengthen. Yes?
I'd just like to suggest what was given to me when I needed to strengthen my ankles was to do what you're doing, but use like a pillow. So you get that little micro movement to help strengthen your ankles.
Yes, that's something also. If you have a firm pillow, that can go ahead and help you get the small movement to go ahead and get the strength in your ankle. There are kits out there where you can do strengthening on your feet. Just get a board. Get a board, stand on the board. It's the same thing. It's a good way to go ahead and do that. So, now, what is proper this is going to be my closing. I know, I'm looking. So what is proper posture? That's the ultimate goal, right? For full body proper posture. Say that 5 times fast. Your feet are a little wider than your hips, but not much wider. They're under your hips and they're firm. Your ankles are over your feet. Your knees are over your ankles. You do not lock your knees. Do not lock your knees. If you not lock your knees, you're not using your full body. You're actually using just your knees it is crushing your knees, which will be talked about in the next lecture. Please come. So, proper posture. You have your feet, your knees slightly bent, hips slightly tilted in whatever direction you need to in order to make sure that the tilt is under your legs and under your feet. And then, honestly, once you get all those, the rest of it all settles in. The shoulders, they slide in. Everything slides in. But again, we'll get into more in depth on how to exercise and strengthen those muscles and stretch them and the proper poses and what you're actually doing with them in future lectures. Any questions? Yes.
Do you have any tips for dealing with a stress fracture in the foot?
Ooh. With a stress fracture, obviously that would be something a doctor would handle. Anytime a broken bone happens, that would be a doctor or a PT.
Well, I mean more of as like a chronic thing. Since
Oh,
when
it
it's
keeps
a stress-
refracturing?
Yeah, because since it's a stress fracture, this happened back in college. So like I've done the doctor route. I've gotten a
Yeah.
lot of, well, we can't do much for you.
Yeah.
So.
So for a stress fracture, you could do KT tape. That actually would probably help really brace that area. It depends on the area as well. You could use KT tape. You could try to find out why it keeps fracturing in that location. Is it because you're not using other muscles? And so you're forcing it to go out. It's probably on the outer part of your foot, huh? Yep. So that's probably, you need to go ahead and strengthen those muscles to start using the inside of your foot.
Okay.
Because you're just pushing out. So actually I probably would strengthen the outside going up like this and then stretching on the inside.
Okay.
It gets really confusing with feet and calves. Everything kind of gets mixed up and you're like, wait, huh? But that's what I would recommend for that.
Thank you.
And see a professional like us. Any other questions? Awesome. Thank you all very much. Hey, wait. There we go. Thank you all very much.